AU chairmanship in Addis. I was at Mesowa SDA in Okong'O with pastors, and we prayed for Raila Amolo Odinga, Mr. Speaker. Those who chose to accompany him to Addis Ababa, that was good. But how did we conduct ourselves? Mr. Speaker, if you have been a member of Law Society, and I know you have been, and you are a member in good standing, you know what happened when I was the president of Law Society of Kenya. We came up with a very good initiative to open the borders in East Africa so that lawyers in Tanzania can come and practice in Kenya, and lawyers in Kenya can go and practice in Uganda, and vice versa, Mr. Speaker. But when we were making that declaration in Speak Munyonyo Hotel in Uganda, the contingent from Kenya was the largest in that meeting. And they came there loaded, they had money, Mr. Speaker. So they painted Kampala. And you know, when the proposal was put on the table, the Ugandans were like, if this is the way these guys are behaving, even before we open the borders, if we open the borders, they'll take over Uganda. The Tanzanians said, if these guys are allowed to practice in Tanzania, they will take over. And Mr. Speaker, whereas we acted in good faith and opened the borders, we have Ugandans who are practicing in Kenya today, courtesy of that decision. But Uganda and Tanzania have never opened the borders for us because of the way we conducted ourselves. So, Mr. Speaker, at times, the cheering squad, the delegation that accompanied our candidate to Addis Ababa, Mr. Speaker, should have quietly given moral support to our candidate without loading it on the other countries, other presidents, because social media travels faster than even normal news, Mr. Speaker. So next time, let's learn. If it's not a football match, if it's a football match, you show you are mighty and you shout. But if it's something that is diplomatic, Mr. Speaker, let's be sensitive as to how we conduct ourselves. Because our conduct can irritate and annoy people who could have voted for us, Mr. Speaker. The third thing, Mr. Speaker, is our own domestic policy. Because we should speak about this matter very, very candidly, Mr. Speaker. At times, the way we run our domestic policy shapes the perception of our country, other countries about us, Mr. Speaker. So, what has been happening within our borders, we should also go back, look at the mirror, and ask ourselves, out there, how do other countries in Africa look at us as Kenya? How is our human rights record, Mr. Speaker? Have we created a country that has people who are happy? Because, Mr. Speaker, every year you get an index released on the happiest people in the world. Which country? I think currently it is, if I'm not wrong, it's Norway, followed by, I think, Australia and others. So we also need to know, have we created an happy population as a country? Mr. Speaker, when somebody was contributing on this floor here and mentioned Shah, Mr. Speaker, somebody from Nyamira sent me a note. He was given at a hospital called Christine Marian for a patient called Douglas Nyang'au, whom they were trying to admit this afternoon in that hospital. And Mr. Speaker, what he told me is that that hospital told them they don't accept patients to be admitted using that SHA card. That SHA should only be used in public hospitals. Yet, Mr. Speaker, we are priding ourselves as a country that has rolled out universal health coverage for everybody. You know? Another one, Mr. Speaker, sent me a message and said, Senator, remind the president that our people are dying because the SHA card is not being accepted in private hospitals, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a patient aged 94 years called Martha Nyamwange, I've just been told, was taken to a hospital called Medifort Hospital in Kisii. Mr. Speaker, that hospital, which had no sympathy on this senior citizen, 94-year-old, only accepted coverage on that SHA card on bed only. Then what happens to the medicine, to the surgeon, to the surgical